Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace, there will be no end. And he will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this.
There is an old story from around AD 30. The story came, it is said, from the lips of the son of a carpenter who grew to become a nomadic rabbi, one who taught like no one else. And this teacher, increasing in influence, painted pictures with his words, pictures that contained truth and meaning, pictures that were not meant to entertain, but to change the world. Like an artist skillfully moving their brush, he begins to paint. And he paints a shepherd in a field, and he paints a flock of restless sheep. The twilight sky is darkening as evening approaches, and with every muted stroke of the brush, the picture emerges. There's tension in the piece beneath the brushstrokes, written into the shepherd's wise and knowing gaze. One of the sheep has wandered off, is lost. His listeners were familiar with the image. This was their world. This sort of thing happened. They knew the dangers, the cost. Who among you, this teacher asks, having 100 sheep, if one is lost, will not leave the 99 and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And who among you, when found, will not lay that sheep on your shoulders and carry it home with great joy? He was talking their language, and yet there was more. The story was meant to point beyond itself to something bigger, something truer, something deeper. It's about sheep, but at the same time, it's not really. It's about a shepherd, but at the same time, it's not really. It's about something more. Lostness and foundness. It's about the deep sense of feeling incomplete, the search that we all go on for satisfaction, wholeness, peace. It's about the lostness that we sense in our hearts that all other distractions have failed to contain, what we feel in our most honest, least masked moments. We all feel something of this. What am I doing here? And in the vastness of that question, we feel lost. It's about the deep human need in the people that this rabbi could see. But it's also about you, and it's also about me. We experience lostness in 1,000 different ways. We are the sheep. But it's only half the story. There is also a shepherd who goes after the sheep, who leaves everything to find it, and when he does, gently picks it up, puts it on his shoulders, and carries it home. This shepherd goes into the wild to find the sheep, to find us, to turn our sorrow into joy, our heartbreak into hope, our lostness into foundness. This shepherd, this great hope for our deepest ache, is the God who comes after us, the God who comes to us, the God who carries us home. It's just a little story, but it points to something bigger. The story of a God so full of love that he would stop at nothing, leave everything, in order to find us. And the way it begins is so well known it can almost be missed. It begins with some shepherds watching their flocks in the fading light. It begins in a stable with the baby's cry, announcing into the silent night that God has come, that God has run, that God is here with us.
Let's all stand to sing the first carol.
angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Christ by highest heaven adored, Christ the everlasting Lord. Late in time, behold him come, offspring of the Virgin's womb. Veiled in flesh, the Godhead see, hail the incarnate deity, pleased as man with man to dwell. Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the him-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Mild he lays his glory by, born and man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Praise you, Lord. Praise you, Jesus. Hail the him-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Mild he lays his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. We bring glory to you, If you'd like to take a seat.
All right. I know what you're thinking. Why on earth has she left all the shopping till Christmas Eve? Well, I didn't. My husband was supposed to pick it up 3 weeks ago. He was also supposed to tell me about an email we got saying that nearly everything I'd ordered was out of stock and I'd have to choose something else. But who is it that's traipsing up and down the high street the night before Christmas? Muggins here. My phone's run out of battery. I don't know where on earth I am, because I've had to come all the way out here to find the only pair of size 3 bally shoes in a 100-mile radius. But it's okay, because tomorrow I'll be able to sit down and relax with a nice glass of bubbly and watch the kids' faces as, oh no, I won't. I forgot. I'll be prepping the veg while Roger goes to visit his mother. Then he'll come back 2 hours after he said he would, saying that he bumped into an old school friend at the Royal Oak while he was having his Christmas pint with his brother and they just got chatting. Turkey'll be cold, he'll be in a grump, and I'll have tried to calm myself down by eating too much Stilton. Has the 53 gone by yet?
Oh, sorry, Duck.
I said, has the 53 gone by yet?
No, I'm waiting for it myself. Looking forward to Christmas, then?
No, not really. And that's if I get home. I've no idea where I am.
Oh, you're lost. Suppose we're all lost in one way or another. Metaphorically, spiritually. In your case, quite literally. Sorry, that's not very helpful, is it?
No, it isn't.
I'm sure when the bus gets here, the driver will be able to point you in the right direction.
Do you really think that?
Sorry?
That we're all lost?
In one way or another, yes.
Well, you don't look very lost. Bet you've got a nice family to spend Christmas with.
You're right, I do. I'm very grateful. But I've been lost in all sorts of ways. And like you sometimes, quite literally. I used to be in the Navy, and on more than one training exercise, I'd find myself rowing in the wrong direction on a Scottish loch, pitch dark somewhere in the Highlands.
Well, do you think I'm lost?
Well, that's not for me to say. We've only just met. I assume you mean other than your current predicament.
Well, it's just that I must keep asking myself, where am I going? What am I doing? 100 times a day, every day.
Yeah, you're not alone there. You've only got to turn on the telly or open a newspaper to see that the whole world's a bit lost. People are searching for something. The perfect job, the perfect partner, perfect parking space. And as for all that nonsense about changing the shape of a Toblerone, well, that's just madness, that is. Sorry, I was just trying to lighten the mood.
No, I'm sorry. It's me. Well, Christmas is supposed to be a time of joy and celebration. Well, I lost the inclination to celebrate years ago. It's just stress and money. And my socks are wet.
Can I give you a bit of friendly advice?
Feel free.
Look, I know you don't know where you are just now, but that doesn't matter. As long as you know where you're going. And you know where you're going home. You just don't know how to get there yet. You need someone with the right directions.
Okay.
Right, so when I was in the Navy, we learned how to navigate by the stars. Now, you see that bright star up there, just up in line with the Big Dipper? Well, that's the North Star, that is. Now, you can depend on that, because it's always directly above the North Pole. Unchanging. Magnetic North, that's another matter altogether. Just Google it when you get home.
Google it?
Yeah, my grandson taught me how to use Google on the interweb.
I think you mean Google.
Yeah, yes, I probably do. Anyway, that North Star, it's a bit like the star in the very first Christmas. I know it was a long time ago and in a distant land and there was no Google, but it indicated precisely where that little baby was. And for the whole of his life, that young man knew exactly where he was going. A bit like us, he was just on his way home. He never got lost once. So if you need someone who's unchanging, with all the right directions, I reckon we can depend on him.
Well, that's all very well and good, but my socks are still wet and I still don't know where I am.
Right. Why don't I help you with these bags? We'll ask the driver which stop you need, and I'll make sure you get home safely, if that's all right with you.
Well, I shouldn't really accept help from a strange man on the ring road, but I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. I don't even know your name.
Jesus.
It's not.
No, it's Derek. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Oh, here comes the bus. Let me help you with these bags.
If you'd like to stand for our next carol. The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Then let us all with one accord sing praises to our heavenly Lord, that hath made heaven and earth from naught, and with his blood mankind hath bought. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, Noel, the angels sing. It was heavenly. And the angels sing. It was heavenly. And the angels sing. It was heavenly.
Oh, come, Emmanuel. if you'd like to take your seats.
It's Family Fortune! And tonight's contestants are Lorna, Jasmine, Poppy, the Gregor family. And they're playing Jenny, Alex and Susie, the Arkwright family. And please welcome your host, Des Lenhouse.
Thank you very much, thank you, and welcome to our all-age Family Fortunes Christmas special, where two festive families battle for the chance to win £5,000. And if they can match the answers in big money, the chance of our star prize, a luxury holiday for the whole family to West Bridgeford in Nottinghamshire. Let's play Festive Family Fortunes. We surveyed 100 people, and we are looking for the top 5 answers. So, Jenny, Lorna, one hand by the buzzer. We asked 100 people for, oh, this should be interesting, something you might lose. Oh, Jenny.
Your husband.
Oh, your husband, is he still with us?
Oh, yeah, he's still alive, but, well, I've lost him at the supermarket before.
Oh, OK, well, let's see if it's on the board. Jenny says husband. No, it's not there. I'll tell you something I've lost, though. I've lost all my money. My agent's been defrauding me for years. He's cleared me out of every penny and run off to Brazil. So, Lorna, now's your chance. Something you might lose.
Your keys.
Oh, your keys. Let's have a look. It's there! It's one of the top answers. Are you going to play or are you going to pass?
We're going to play, Des.
They're going to play. OK, Lorna, introduce us to your family.
Well, tonight, Des, I've got with me my 2 daughters, Jasmine and Poppy.
Oh, wonderful. Isn't it lovely that you get to be with your children and you haven't lost all their respect or your own ability to relate to them, like I have with mine? Because apparently I don't understand them anymore. And I'm never at home, and now they don't speak to me. Happy Christmas. So, Jasmine, how old are you? And tell us something interesting about yourself.
Well, I'm 14 and I struggle with losing my identity and defining myself by what people say about me on social media.
OK, great. And Poppy, the younger sister, I presume. How old are you?
I'm nearly 11.
Oh, OK. And what do you like to do when you're not at school?
I like to dance and think about how my generation might lose its ecological security.
OK, that's great. You've got 2 little stars there, Lorna. So, we are looking for something you might lose. Now, remember, no conferring on this one. Arkwright family, you can be thinking up some answers too. So, Lorna, what do you think? Something you might lose.
Your temper?
Yes, you can lose your temper. Hope you're not referring to me. Haven't got a secret camera in my house, have you? No? We're looking for temper. It's there! Well done, OK. Jasmine, something you might lose.
Your job?
Yes, you can lose your job. I've probably done that tonight. Jasmine says, your job. It's there! Fantastic, OK. Poppy, something you might lose.
Hope?
Yes, yep, you can lose hope. Yeah, I mean, we've all done that somewhere, haven't we? When you can lose hope in a relationship, you can lose hope that you'll ever be fulfilled with a mediocre television presenting career, that things will ever change. Poppy says hope. Oh, it's not there. I tell you what you have lost. You've lost this round. Should have said that. You should have said this round, and then you would have won. Arkwright, now's your chance to steal the money. Something you might lose. Jenny.
Your way.
Yep, you can lose your way when you don't really know which way to turn and you don't know what you're looking for and you're not sure if you want to be where you are anymore. You just don't know where you're going or why or who it's even for and you just need an answer, but there isn't one. You're just lost.
Well, when you're lost, what you need is someone to find you. Someone who knows the way. And well, that's what Christmas is. It's when the one person who knows exactly where you are and which way you need to go came to find you. Came to find all of us. Maybe that's the answer.
Well, let's see if it's on the board. It's the top answer. It's the top answer, which I think means you've won this matching set of faux leather luggage. Well, there you have it. It's the top answer for the round and probably the top answer for the whole of Christmas. We'll be right back after the break when we'll be playing big money in tonight's Family Fortunes Christmas special. See you in a couple of minutes.
I wonder if this still works.
Oh. Well, we're going into a break now. There's going to be 2 baskets coming round. The first one is full of chocolates. Do help yourselves to one of those.
Second one is our offering, and the offering from all 4 of the services this weekend are going to the same thing. It doesn't benefit the church at all. We're giving it all away to a wonderful charity called the Carpenter's Arms, which is a drug and alcohol residential rehabilitation centre. And it's very close to our hearts because every Sunday we have the honour of hosting, as part of our church services, dozens of the residents from there. They have the most extraordinary track record of turning lives around. And every pound that we give in the offering will become £2 because from the church's own finances, own set-apart fund, we will be match funding this. So we will double whatever you give. So as we go into a break, we would encourage you, please give generously.
And the break will last just duration of 1 song, so it's quite short. See you after the break.
And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." Suddenly, a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth, peace to those on whom his favor rests."
The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay, keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel,
We live in a world of cities, cars and shopping malls, of science, technology and urbanization. The world of shepherds and livestock, of weather dependence and seasonal necessity is some distance from our daily lives. And yet it's where the Christmas story begins. With shepherds, common people, simply doing what they had done all their lives, keeping watch, looking after the sheep in their care. They knew nothing of the songs and stories they would find themselves in, nothing of the role they were to play in a tale that would shake the world. They were simple people. They held no renown. They had no wealth or status, no position or influence. And yet it was here, on a night just like the 1,000 nights before it, that the darkening skies burst with light and song and news of great joy. As angels announced that the God whose hands formed the world, whose voice spoke planets into being, whose name could not be spoken out loud, had come into the world he himself had called into being, that he had come. The great shepherd in search of the lost sheep had come to rescue, to pursue us, had stepped into our lostness to turn it into foundness. That he had come, that as strange, as extraordinary, as unbelievable as it sounds, this baby in a manger, wrapped in ragged cloth, was Emmanuel, God with us.
Well, thanks for clapping me before I even started. Really appreciate that. My name's Susie, and I'm one of the pastors here, and it's great to see so many of you here this evening. One of the things I love about Christmas is all the little Christmas traditions. We've all got them, haven't we? You know, maybe it's overindulging every single day in December and using this as your excuse. Well, it is Christmas. Or there's nothing like that feeling to sum this up on Christmas Day, right? It's 4 p.m., and you finally say, that's it. I'm full. Until 2 hours later, somebody comes into the room and they say, cheese board? And you're back in the game and you say, well, I'm at it, I'll have a port as well. You know, then there's insisting on having a personalised Christmas stocking until you're 36 years old. That's me, here it is, vintage item going on here. Or eating pigs in blankets. You've got to love pigs in blankets. And by the way, this year I'm thinking about stockpiling them because I read on the BBC that according to Brexit, there could be a bit of a shortage. So you might want to get out there and get some. But my favourite tradition of all is watching the greatest Christmas film ever shown, ever made. You got it, Home Alone. I know, some of you thought I was going to say Die Hard, that's not a Christmas film, but or maybe it is. But anyway, it's all about this little boy called Kevin, and it's filmed back in the 1990s, so almost the Dark Ages, and it's all about how this little boy is lost and he's home alone. And he responds to his lostness in all these different ways, doesn't he? At first, he's like, ooh, I'm shocked, and then he starts loving it, and he's indulging in his freedom, but then he starts to panic, and he gets scared, and he starts to take on these burglars. And by the way, I think Kevin is a bit of a genius. But ultimately, no matter how he responds, he's still lost. And his one Christmas wish, it's this. Would you please tell Santa that instead of presents, I just want my family back. Here's what happens on Christmas morning.
Merry Christmas, sweetheart. Oh, Kevin, I'm so sorry.
Where's everybody else?
Baby, they couldn't come. They wanted to so much.
No, I didn't fall asleep in back. Drool all over you, did I? You do, Drool.
You're all right. I love you. Okay?
Hey, Kev. It's pretty cool that you can burn the place down.
Thanks, Buzz.
Shall we just watch the rest? What a film. Don't worry, I've checked it out. It's actually on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on TV, so you can watch it then. But it's an amazing story, and Kevin's lostness, his home aloneness, if that's even a word, could only be resolved in one way, and that was his mum coming home to find him. It's a story, isn't it, about being lost and being found. And tonight, I want to suggest that actually the Christmas story is a far bigger and a far greater story, all about being lost and found. You see, it's about how we were lost, but God came to find us. And when I'm talking about being lost, I don't mean lost like Kevin in the 1990s Chicago mansion, nor do I mean lost geographically. Like, I'm sure we've all been lost here. I got lost once on the Tissington Trail in Derbyshire. I went on this bike ride. That was the first mistake. And we got lost when we went to a pub. And we were cycling for hours and hours and hours. We got covered in mud, soaking wet, and I 100% lost my sense of humor. Total nightmare. I'm talking more about the moments in life where, you know, perhaps we just feel a little bit dissatisfied or disappointed deep down with the way that life has panned out. You know, when we struggle with all sorts of things like relational tension or finances, anxiety, health issues, or the devastating reality of Christmas without a loved one. And that creative piece about the lost sheep sums up what I want to say so beautifully. I'd love to read some words from it. It says this: the story is about the deep sense of feeling incomplete. The search that we all go on for satisfaction, wholeness, and peace. It's about the lostness that we sense in our own hearts and all other distractions have failed to contain. It's what we feel in our most honest, least masked moments. We all feel something of this. What am I doing here? And in the vastness of that question, we feel lost. You see, it's these moments and those circumstances which can lead us to behave in all sorts of different ways, searching, hoping, and longing, just trying to do something to take away that feeling that we've lost our way. And perhaps maybe we actually feel that at Christmas more than ever. We can end up spending way too much money just to fill a void, or doing absolutely everything and anything to create this perfect Christmas, even if it means stockpiling pigs in blankets, or making our mince pies 50 times over so we've got a mince pie worthy of a bake-off showstopper. You know, it's almost as if we like wrap our lives up with enough sort of tinsel and paper and the ribbon that it covers up the feeling that deep down inside we feel a bit lost. I don't know what you think about the Christmas story. Maybe you're here tonight and you think it's a fairy tale or it's a cute made-up story for kids at Christmas. But I believe that it's real and it's true. And it's about how God came to find us in our lostness. And I really do believe that it's the greatest story to ever exist. Most of you probably know the gist of it. We've got there's the angels and there's the wise men and the shepherds and there's some donkeys probably involved as well. And then you've got Mary and Joseph. which back in the day, I loved being Mary, like wearing a tea towel on my head more than once. It was amazing. But the whole story centers around the birth of this baby called Jesus. And while we're talking about his arrival, it was quite some arrival, wasn't it? In these days, babies have to rely on their parents to announce the news. They send a message on WhatsApp or they put a little cute photo on Instagram. This baby didn't need social media, okay? He had a whole host of angels to announce his arrival. And so these angels, they come to these shepherds and they say, this is good news of great joy, and it's for all people. And they're saying it's such good news because those passages that we heard at the beginning from the book of Isaiah in the Bible, they were written hundreds of years before Jesus was born, and they point to something great. You see, they say this baby will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. That he's going to come and bring peace and justice, because actually the whole world has got lost and wander from God. And this is how the baby will come. The virgin will conceive and she'll give birth to this son, and they will call him Emmanuel. Emmanuel, such a special word. And actually, this word changes everything because it means, as we've heard tonight, God with us. God with me, God with you. Eugene Peterson, in the Message version of the Bible, he puts it like this. He says, the Word, he's talking about Jesus, became flesh and blood like us and moved into the neighborhood. That first Christmas, God saw how lost humanity had got. He saw our pain and our brokenness, and so he stepped into human history and came as a small and a vulnerable baby into our lostness to find us. And ultimately, this baby in the manger becomes a man who died on the cross, overcoming the darkness in the world and making it possible for us to be found in him forever. And he did it because he loved us and because he wanted to be with us. I first met Jesus when I was a teenager. I wasn't especially looking for God at the time. I was way more interested in the latest boy band. E17, if anyone remembers them. Take That, loved it. 5, all of them. But God came and found me one day as 2 of my youth leaders prayed for me. And even though I'd grown up in the most amazing family, I never experienced love like it. It was amazing, and it's difficult really to describe it in just a few words, because my relationship with Jesus, what it means to me to be found in Jesus, goes beyond my emotion, beyond my understanding, and certainly beyond my circumstances. I've held on to his unfailing love in the darkest of times. Through a season where I struggled with anxiety, when I've lost loved ones, when I've felt let down, or I've looked at the future and I've just felt really worried. I've known him close in the heartache, but I've also known him in the best of times, and there's been so many of those. That's just part of my story. But I've seen a story like it of Jesus changing lives now in hundreds of others. And if you're invited here tonight, I just want to encourage you to ask the person that invited you, because the chances are that they have a story of being found by Jesus and having their lives changed. Because there's people in this room like Tom. He came here and he was struggling with anxiety. He was off work, but he found life in Jesus, and he's now back at work, raising mental health awareness in his work and leading a support group. It's people like Mark and Jane, who they came here and their marriage, it was over, they were separated. But they came to life in Jesus, and actually their marriage is restored. Amazing stories. And I've seen it in countless others. I've seen young people who've been healed of self-harming and anxiety. Adults being set free from addiction or poverty. Lonely people have come here and they've found a home and a family. Those searching have found answers because God came to be with all people. When those angels appeared to the shepherds, they didn't just say, hey, shepherds, this is good news of great joy because you're so good at being shepherds. It's just for you. They said, this is good news of great joy, and it's for all people. And so that includes you tonight. Whether you're counting down the days to Christmas because you can't wait, or actually because you're dreading it, God came to be with you this Christmas. In Home Alone, arguably, it seems tonight, the greatest Christmas film ever to exist. Kevin's one Christmas wish was that he'd have his family back. And his mum knew this. And so she crossed the ocean. She begged for plane tickets. She spent hours and hours and hours in the back of a truck so that she could get home to be with her son at Christmas, because she loved him and she couldn't bear for him to be lost or separated from her. If you're here tonight and you don't know how Jesus feels about you, how God feels about you, you know the way that Kevin's mum felt about Kevin? That's just a glimpse of the way that God feels about you. You know, we're going to move on in just a moment and sing some more, but just want to allow just a moment in the quiet to respond and to reflect in our own hearts. You might just want to enjoy the quiet for a moment, that's totally cool. Or you might want to take the opportunity just to invite God to come and show you something of his love tonight, because I believe that he's here, and no matter who you are, that he wants to meet with you. So we'll just do that for 30 seconds and then I'll pray. Jesus, we thank you that first Christmas that you didn't leave us in our lostness, but you came and found us. Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us. Thank you that no matter who we are, what we've going on this Christmas, that you're here with us and that you love each one of us. And I just pray that everybody in this room would know that this Christmas. Amen. Guys, have a great Christmas.
Let's all stand.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul found its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night divine. Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we,
Please take a seat.
Christmas for a lot of people is about the presents. I had presents when I was growing up. They were from car boot sales. Some of the toys didn't work. I was grateful for them, but the broken ones did upset me. I love Christmas. I love Christmas now I know what it's about. I've always been a family man. I've always needed that family love, that security. But it wasn't there. My mum and dad divorced when I was 4. My mum never picked me up, never told me she loved me. My stepdad was basically an alcoholic, violent. I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel loved. I felt very frightened, very scared. That went on from when I was about 4 or 5 till 16, 17. All through my teenage years, I was just crying out for attention without knowing it, really. By the time I reached 13, I rebelled, started taking drugs. With all the drugs I took, it was never enough. I could never take enough. And yes, did I like them? I loved them, I'm not going to lie, because it took me to a place where I felt loved. I knew it were wrong, but it gave me something that no one had ever given me before.
Drugs for me was escapism, without a shadow of a doubt. I was lost, I was broken. I went into a rehab in Scotland, and everyone seemed very happy, and they were full of joy. I talked about this man, Jesus. I didn't have a clue who he was, but I wanted it, I was desperate. So I said yes, I asked him into my heart. And over a journey period of time, things have started to change. But then I went home, I went back out into the world, to my wife and my children. And that's always been my issue. I cannot cope. And my heart's desire is to cope as a father and as a husband. I had issues as a childhood. And when I'm at home with my wife and kids, it puts me back to that place. And through asking Jesus into my life, it's given me the courage to be open and honest about what's going on. And the Bible says the truth sets me free. And today I feel so free and so thankful. There's not many Christmases I've been clean, but this Christmas I'm cooking dinner for Carpenter's Arms. On Unboxing Day, my wife's coming down with my children. She's taking me home for them. I'm going to cook dinner for them. I give all the God, all the glory for everything He's done in my life, my family's life. He's reunited me with my children. My children are even talking to me. I don't deserve none of this. But Jesus, I'm so thankful. I've got such a hope in the future. I'm not going to lose this battle. I'm not giving up. This is available to absolutely everybody. I wasn't worthy. I didn't think of myself as nothing. I hated myself. I destroyed my life. And I let Jesus in. And I've never felt so loved in all my life. And this is my story. I'm Chris. Thank you for listening. Merry Christmas.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. If you'd like to stand. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I
Wow, well, let's give another round of applause to all the team that have gone to such enormous effort to make this happen. The production guys, the people outside, the people all around, these guys.
It may be that I hope you've enjoyed the service. I trust you have. Maybe you're thinking, I wonder if maybe I could ever come back here on a Sunday. This applies more to those of you present than those of you watching from around the world. But if you're ever in England and anywhere near Nottingham, we'd love to have you here as well. But, we do 3 services on a normal Sunday. We would love to have you join us whenever you would like to. And on your seat, there's a little card which tells you the service times and also gives the website there. I really would encourage you, just check out the website. And on that front page, if you go down a little way, there's a little button that says, watch our welcome video. And you'll get a really good feel, just a 1-minute piece of what a Sunday feels like.
And if you are interested in exploring faith, we've got 2 books that we'd love to give you. The first one is called Why Christmas? Explains what Christmas is really all about, who the person of Jesus is and how you can meet him. And the second book is a wonderful set of stories written by members of this church, real life stories, and you will thoroughly enjoy it. They're both available at all the exits. You can just pick them up, take them with you.
Just before we finish with the blessing, let me say that the after hours will now happen. Don't rush off. We have, first of all, free hot spiced apple juice and Yule logs. And then the bar will be open. You'll be able to buy all sorts of assortment of drinks, including mulled wine tonight. So do stay around for that if you'd like to. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of his dear Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. And the blessing of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you and remain with you and all your loved ones, wherever they may be, tonight and for always. And the people said, Amen.
Happy Christmas.